Thank you so much, Siddhant, for those kind words. Uh, all the distinguished members for the day. Is my voice audible enough? If yes, could someone type it out on chat?
Yes, yes, Aditya.
Thank you.
Good.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I come from an educational background, so generally, when teacher and students are talking to each other, we prefer the chat space much easily, which makes it comfortable for all of us. Uh, First of all, I consider this day as a Panchamrit day. So in the Sanatan Dharma tradition, there's this one. I won't say sweet because it's technically not a sweet, but there are five things that have assembled all together. Uh, First of all, the child has come back to its home. Uh, I'm happy that I have served as a Rotractor and I've got this chance to be back at my Rotary Club. Thanks to Shirish Rege sir at that time when he was the president. And thanks to Manoj Patel sir, who's the president right now, I got an equivalent chance to address both of them. So I'm extremely honored to be here. That's one. Number two, the club that I started with. The club I started with, the Rocha Club of NM College, happens to have a charter day today. So that's the second celebration that I have. Third celebration that we have is I was extremely happy to see that the National Youth Day happened yesterday. One of the leading mentors of this century and the previous century was Swami Vivekanand, who apparently was the one who addressed the Parliament of World Religions about 126 years ago. We are extremely honored to have an icon like him, and his learnings are always with us. The fourth thing that happened was it was Siddhant who reconciled two sister concern club past presidents. That's me and Apurv. Me and Apurv were fierce, competitors, I'll say. I won't say enemies because we love each other right now. Mitibai and NM shared a bond of doing better road traction on daily basis, competitiveness, and bringing the better out of each other. I've admired him as a leader, and I'll really give credit to him to thinking of nominating my name and getting me here. And last but not the least, as a child, I'm really happy because a lot of past presidents are here today. Correct me if I'm wrong. Robin sir, Saroj ma'am, Ashok Devra sir, Mohan sir, who was president during my tenure as a president, Samapti ma'am, who's always been a motherly figure for me. All of them, I'm really honored to be here. So these are the five events that have assembled together, and they behave like the doodh, the dahi, the mad, the mishri, and the ghee as such. So this is my Panchamrit for the day, which I'm offering you, all of you. And it's good to be back home in front of all of you. I miss a lot of Rotarians though. Krishna sir, who was a president then. Arvind sir, who was a president then. I'm happy Hima ma'am has become secretary once again. But Harminder sir, Aslam sir, special bond with Apurv sir. And I haven't been on a lot of talking terms with a lot of Rotarians, but I've been kind enough to hear Prashant sir's names and Tushar sir's name and all these wonderful Rotarians who have done some fantastic work. I understand it's boring to come for a spiritual meeting, but since I come from an educational background, I'll serve the purpose of education and entertainment at the same time. In our language, we call it edutainment. You educate people by entertaining them at the same time. So just in case, if there's something that you really love, is there something that you really like, I would appreciate if you could just show me a thumbs up. And probably for all those people who have their webcams shut, I love to see your faces. As much as ugly I could be, I really love your beautiful souls. So please grace me by having your webcams on. Having said that, birthday wishes to all those Rotarians who have it. Birthday wishes to all those elders who have it. We've gathered here, assembled here for a 30-minute slot. And the irony of life is a Vaman is going to teach a Bali Raja. Irony of life is a kid is going to tell you more about spirituality to all the elders who know things better than me, who have seen things better than me, who have experienced certain things which I haven't even yet. I'm not even married. I don't even, have a lifetime commitment as in for now. So you can say a small kid is going to talk to a 75-year-old and talk about spirituality. Well, I'll tell you, the president of it, the premise of it likes like this. We have a saying in Sanskrit, It says yukti yuktam pragrunnyat baladapi vichakshana. Sounds complicated. Let me simplify it for you. Even if a child is teaching you something and if he's right, it's an embracing situation for all the elders to learn even from a child. And the one thing that I've learned from Rotarians is, despite the age that we come in, it's just a bracket and a number. As much as we love to meet offline, I love the passion that we all have gathered today, learning the tech aspects of it and beating our own best. And that's what Rotary has taught me to never stop learning. So I really appreciate for all of you who are present over here. It really is a moment of pride and honor for me. So there'll be certain things that you may like, there'll be certain things you may not like, but it's just one man's opinion. And the best part about one man's opinion is there's a doll. Now, let me tell you what kind of people are there in the world and how it's connected with spirituality. There's a doll. You try inserting a small pin in a doll's ear. There's a chance that pin may come out from the other ear. That's exactly what your and my life is like. When someone tells us something, it goes from one ear, comes out from the other. There's no thought process behind it. There's no retention. There is no processing. The other segment of it is the other set of people who listen to it. So see the other doll, again a pin is inserted, and this time instead of the ear, it's coming out of the mouth. Situation number 2, people who listen half things, they tend to start giving advices. And situation number 3 is the doll, a pin was inserted in her, and that pin directly goes to her heart. And this is the life-changing statement that we all have received from our mentors, from our gurus, from our spouses, from our friends, from our colleagues, from people who impact us a lot. And that makes us a better person and a better human being. I'm going to make a statement today. Let me know if you guys think in the same lines or you have some different thought process behind it. I hope my screen will be visible to you. The statement says like this: spirituality is a void without a ritual. And when I say a ritual, I'm not asking you to do a Surya Namaskar, but the ritual is to be a better human being than what you were yesterday. The outer life of spirituality is people have considered that to be not a part of religion. Fair. The world is open, your interpretations could be open as well. But what's stopping us is, in the name of spirituality, a lot of things are happening that shouldn't be happening. All these times we hear leaders in the religious space or the spiritual space have been engaging in scams because they themselves are not self-sufficient with what they have, and they'll end up in doing things that they're not supposed to. It's not a non-proven fact. We all know it. We all read it. We all read papers. We are exposed towards the world of social media, which is smart enough to tell us a lot of things. Now, how can we be spiritual at this age? It doesn't matter if I'm 5. It doesn't matter if I'm 85. In Gujarati, we have a statement and we say it, Jagya Tyarthi Savar. It's morning the way the second we wake up. Even if you wake up at 4 o'clock in the early morning or you wake up at 12 o'clock. Late realizations are also realizations at the end of the day. The only factor is either we can regret it or we can do something about it and make your future better. And in order to make your future better, you have to live in the present and make your present better. The world has been debating about existence of God. The world has been debating about who's better and who's not. Let me tell you something about the 21st century generation-based people. What are they thinking? They want to have peace and harmony. They don't want religions to fight with each other. They don't want leaders to establish supremacy in terms of who's better and who's not. If you believe in Allah, we accept you as you are. You believe in Krishna, we accept you as you are. You believe in Ram, we accept you as you are. You believe in Jesus Christ, we believe you as you are. The only difference is we wish to be more tolerant enough to empathize with you and to harmonize with you. And for that, there's a small perspective that I want all of you to know about. Anything in the world has 3 forms. You consider a holy river like Ganga. You consider the speaker in my hand. You consider yourself. You consider anything. And that has been divided into three parts. It's physical. That means you can feel it, touch it, see it. If not, you can at least understand the essence of it. The simplest example that we know is air. Have you seen air? No. Do you feel it? Yes. Do you question the existence of air? Absolutely not. What if there were no air? I'm sure we know the result. We wouldn't be here. The second aspect is metaphysical of it, also considered to be a spiritual aspect of it. Ganga as a river is physical, but the name of Ganga has some purity in it. There's some sentimental value attached to it. It is said if you do Ganga Snan, all your sins can go away. Unfortunately, you shouldn't be doing it right now because Ganga is almost polluted. Maybe you'll land up with skin diseases. Well, it's our own mankind that is destroying mankind. And if we understand all these factors, I think our vision towards watching at things or looking at things may change big time. And the third segment of it is transcendental or divine. So people may feel these are fancy words, fancy terms. But these words can change life. These words can impact situations. These words can change your thought process. Transcendental or divine is something to do with your belief about something. If I consider Ganga to be the supreme river, it's my respect for her. Maybe you don't feel it that way. Maybe your perspective is Yamuna is supreme, or your perspective is Narmada is supreme. But there's some value which is beyond our humankind, which is beyond our mankind. And that is something which is divine, or that is something that is transcendental. When we look at things with this view, or when we have a chashma of this, we start looking things at things in a slight different way. For example, back in the days when we were in college, what matters the most was having the right kind of career and being eligible to have the right kind of pay. At that time, if someone asked us to meditate, hey, you know what, I don't need it. Because at that particular age, you have peak of energy, you have peak of synergy, and you have a lot of aspirations. The minute a person comes at 25 and we ask them, hey, do you mind donating certain things to certain people if we ask you to? You know what, I don't have money, but maybe I can ask a few people and help you out. I'm running away from responsibilities because I have commitments on my way. I'm supposed to get married. I'm supposed to have a child. I'm supposed to pay some home loan. By 35, would you mind volunteering us for a project of ours? Well, I have a kid. I have to take care of him or her. And all these 10,000 thought processes come into the picture. Now, my concern is, are you giving excuses, or are you trying to be spiritual? A lot of people say, I don't believe in God, but I'm spiritual. Fair. A lot of people say, I believe in God and I don't believe in spirituality. Okay. A lot of people say, I love hitting people and yet I'm spiritual. Weird, but okay. A lot of people say, I believe in terrorism and still spiritual. I think that's the biggest joke, because spirituality's first condition is to be a human being. And let me tell you one thing. In order to be a human being, you at least need 30 odd qualities. Mind you, I come from a school of thought where there are 30 characteristics given in order to qualify as a human being. I'm sure all of you have been to various recreational activities, or probably gone to Vipassana for self introspection, or probably been meditating, or listening to some guru, or listening to some learned people with extreme wisdom. They make you feel like, oh, there's something beyond life. There's something which is beyond money. There's something which is beyond family. There's something which I want to make myself feel complete. Well, all these various gurus have also been strong enough to showcase 10 qualities which can make you a better human being. The first one is satisfaction. For once, I remember this old story wherein an X-Men loses his own X, and Lakshmi ji comes into the picture, and she's testing the guy. Whether would you like to have an X which is made of gold? Not really. Would you like a silver X? Not really. I just need my iron X. A poor guy who doesn't have money is satisfied with what he or she has. Now, this is contradictory to a thought of aspiration. And the world in the 21st century is talking about stay hungry, stay foolish. We need to understand, what do we need to be hungry about? What do we need to be foolish about? If we have 100 crores with us and we have reached at a stage wherein 3 of our generations don't need any money further, let me tell you one thing. There was a king. King had a child. And you know the story pretty well. King had a hair. The hair was protected so much. And eventually, he doesn't land up in a situation of ruling the kingdom. He renunciates it. He renounces it. Why? Because he doesn't want to get attracted of Maya. And I'm sure you are aware of this. I'm talking about Gautam Buddha. A sense of satisfaction that Gautam Buddha had, that he left money. Well, let me tell you something. Not having money, I understand. But having money and being hungry for it is a different ballgame altogether. And greediness has no limit. Well, this is the first thing in a spiritual person. He's satisfied in he or she what he gets. And that's the reason why Gurukul culture makes you feel satisfied. You serve your teacher. You live in whatever conditions are available. You try to make the best out of what is available at that particular point of time. And that gives you the sense of satisfaction, and you're grateful enough to what you already have. The second thing, and even medical science believes in this, a lot of your problems are because of the negative emotions that you have within you. Someone said something to you, you felt insulted. Someone behaved annoying in front of you. But your heart is not allowing you to forgive that particular person. Let me tell you something. The biggest gift in this world is forgiveness. Because forgiveness doesn't come from the side of weakness. Forgiveness is actually coming from the side of strength. Your strength is in forgiving other people. Now, a lot of people may feel, my life has passed by 60 years. I have no one to forgive. How about being compassionate on your own self and forgiving your own self for all the things that you couldn't complete? How about forgiving the people around you to whom you might have insulted someday, or you might have behaved weirdly, or your actions would have led to some consequences in their life? Let me tell you something. Forgiveness was even bestowed upon asuras by devtas. Now, the idea of devtas and asuras is positive energy versus negative energy. There are certain crimes in the world that you cannot forgive. Well, let the justice do that part. You can be a bigger person by letting your emotions go. After feeling what you have felt, you can be a bigger person by letting that go. And that is why it is said, Kshama Veerasya Bhushanam. Kshama is given by a Veer, the one who has might, the one who has strength. Now, it may sound weird, but tolerance, and let me tell you one thing, my elders over here who are there, we admire your generation for the tolerance that you have, that you tolerated people like us who came up with a lot of arrogance and audacity, and we started behaving as if we own the world. I am joining my hands, all my elders, and I'm begging and I'm apologizing. I'm sorry for on behalf of youngsters that we don't behave in a tolerant manner. You don't deserve our generation's respect. The way we are, you're not supposed to be like that. And this is one quality that I really admire in all the elders, that they're tolerant enough to face what the younger generation is doing. And they're compassionate enough to even forgive them. And hence, these two qualities are quite complementary in nature. So this is one thing that I wish my generation gets it, to be tolerant enough. And that is only possible when they understand the value of success, coming not through the means of luxurious life. As it may sound renunciating of the world, I'm not giving you a life lesson wherein you're supposed to leave everything and go in the Himalayas and meditate for 20 years of your pending life or 100 years of your pending life. What I'm asking you to do is just readjust your personality, just readjust your lifestyle in a way which can help you build peace within your own self. This quality in spirituality, the commandment fourth is asteya. There's an unrighteous feeling of stealing. It may go against certain people because they have a habit of trying to see what's in it for me. Well, there's no harm in looking out for what's in it for you. But when you try to steal something that's not yours, I think there's a problem there. And this problem is rising by the day because apparently the haves and the have nots have a great divide between them. I'm sure you all are great businessmen. You might have seen the biggest profit has happened to the tech companies in the world. Till that extent, recently Tesla owner has become the richest man on the planet. That's because people with brains, people with opportunities are getting more money, which they deserve. But it's time to give back some of it to the organizations like us, which can do the betterment of the society. And I'm glad that Rotary has been committed to doing this particular work because the rightly earned money is being given to the rightly deserving audience. And this is one sense of feeling which can only be achieved by working for a community altogether. Commandment 5 talks about, I'm sorry, there's a spelling error over here. Commandment 4 was about, I have missed it out, just give me a second. Yeah, commandment 5 is about shauch. It's about cleanliness and it's about you behaving the right kind in the best of public spaces. I'm sure in the March 2020 segment, all of you might have been told to maintain social distance, wear a mask, sanitize your hands, wash your hands, etc. etc. I'll tell you one thing. In the entire Vedic history of 5,000 years, washing hands was not to be substituted by a tissue paper. And I can vouch you for this. As many times you'll read any Dharma Shastra or any religious segment in the Sanatan Dharma, washing of hands is a mandatory even if you touch your own nose, touch your own ears, touch your own food, touch someone else. Once you're back, just wash your hands. Why? Because apart from the physical body that we have, there's a metaphysical layer of energy around us. In other words, you might have heard of chakras from a lot of people. A lot of speakers might have spoke about chakras every now and then. Our body emanates energy, and that energy is pious enough. It cannot be disbursed by touching other human beings casually. I'm not saying don't touch human beings, but casual touches also have an impact on us. Our senses are sensitive enough to have sensations. Just keep that thing in mind. And since we're talking about senses, as I said earlier, the next thing that is going to happen is Indriya Nigraha. It's working out on your sense. I'm sure working on your senses, elders, you can teach the younger generation a lot of things. Since some of them are diabetic in nature, they try and control the sugar intake. Well, apparently my generation doesn't understand that. On a Friday night, if they don't go to a club to fulfill their senses of having the one thing that they want, it doesn't just make their week. It just doesn't allow them to be their actual self. They need some sort of intoxication just to be a different version of human being. Well, let me tell you something. If you want to be intoxicated with love, be intoxicated with passion, be intoxicated with compassion. I think you won't need any other thing to fulfill your own senses. Moving further, there's something called as dhi. Dhi is inclination towards culture. We all know the Western culture has been an advent in our space. We all know what Western culture has been doing for us. We also know what agendas a lot of foreign countries have against us. Well, let me tell you something. This is one country, this is one homeland of 4 religions that have taken birth here. And this has been one nation that has embraced multiple other religions coming from other places as well. You want to talk about cultural tolerance? Every district where a language or a dialect changes, where food changes with every borders, where thought processes and mindset changes at every air. I think India has been one of the finest tolerant nations, but due to certain agenda, we are behaving in an intolerant way. Now, let me tell you something. It's not just a political scenario. It's both political bureaucrats and the people of this nation who are not going in an aligned direction. And that's exactly what I want to talk about, having the belongingness towards the culture. I'm sure when we go to a Sikh temple, we are supposed to wear a white color patch, at least the pagdi if possible. When Islamic people go to the mosque, they adorn their topi. I'm sorry if I'm saying it incorrectly, but before they pray, they do it that way. Unfortunately, in India, when it comes to marriage, no child wants to sit for more than 30 minutes on a wedding ceremony. Why? Because they have other commitments to do. They would rather dance in a wedding for 35 odd minutes rather than listening to mantras that originate from our own motherland. Well, apparently, this is where our culture has stuck. And you want to talk about spirituality? You want to talk about being spiritual? You are not supposed to climb an Everest to be a spiritual personality. All you have to do is change your mindset to be a better one. Commandment 8 talks about Vidya. Back in the days, it was said knowledge is going to be power. Knowledge is going to be something that is going to change the way the world is going to function. And that thought hasn't changed even bit yet. We have heard of KPOs. We've talked about ideas. We've talked about execution of those ideas. Even Devatas have a guru who's called Brihaspati. Even Asuras have a guru who's called Shukra. Even Krishna has a guru who's called Sandipani. Even Arjuna has a guru who's called Krishna. Even Ram has a guru who's in the form of Vashishta or Vishwamitra. To acquire knowledge, age is not a barrier. To acquire knowledge, mindset is a barrier. Now, when I say this thing, knowledge can be acquired in 4 ways. You can acquire knowledge by, by studying, self-study. That's a basic thing that you can do. The second thing, find a guru, sit in guru's feet, lotus feet. Guru will teach you. Even if guru is not speaking with you, by actions, he's teaching you a lot of things. I'm sure when you have grandchildren at your house, I'm sure your grandparents have a lot of grandchildren. They have been learning from you just by observing at you. And this is the beauty of mankind. You don't need to specifically make me sit and make me greet. I'll observe you and I'll still understand a lot of things just by looking at you. And that's why it is said, show me how to do it and I'll learn it much faster instead of just telling me what is supposed to be done. The third aspect of knowledge is through learning with your friends. Your friends can teach you stuff. Let's say I don't know anything about real estate. For a matter of fact, I know about marketing. I don't know about finance. Siddhant is my go-to person. When I have some concerns in leadership, Apurva has a point of opinion over that. When I'm stuck in something about life, I have a lot of mentors over here. Maybe Sandeep, Uncle, Samapti ma'am, Apurv sir, Mohan sir, for a matter of fact. I've been kind enough to, they've been kind enough to me to accept my calls and have these conversations. It's all about mindsets. Now, it's from elders, it's from same age colleagues. All you need is to acquire the right kind of knowledge. If someone like Warren Buffett can read for 5 hours a day, if someone like Bill Gates can read about more than 52 books in a year, I think there is something common between both of us. That's aspiration to be the best. And I think the standards have already been set by that particular human being, which we can merely implement in our life. And last but not the least is time. समय से बड़ा शिक्षक कोई नहीं हो सकता. Time is the ultimate factor which can teach you a lot of things. And despite at this age, I lost my grandfather at a very early age. That's when I understood time is one factor which is going to be not in my control. As much time I can spend with a lot of people, I think that's going to be the best thing for me. Moving on, the commandment 9th is truth. Nothing but the truth. The thing that is as it is the truth. The irony about truth is that people don't like it. And the reality of truth is that nothing better than it. Now the choice is ours. Whether we want to stay in a world that is mithya, whether we want to stay in a delusionary thought, whether we want to stay in a world that's delusionary in nature. The choice is always ours. Complications are always going to be there. There's one thing that faith has defined. God doesn't give you a problem which is not going to be solved by you. And in case if he does, there are people who can help you out for the same. And the fact about truth is people love sweet truth. People don't like harsh truth. And the commandment that has been given by us, by the Dharma Shastra is, if you can say the truth in a sweet manner, I think you'll be the most loved person in the vicinity of people around you. And last but not the least is the commandment of akrodha. Well, this is one commandment where I have no control. I am one person who's quite, what do we say, aggressive in nature. Just because I'm aggressive doesn't mean I can't be spiritual. I'm a human being, I can lack certain qualities in me. But a krodha is something which defines the last commandment. And in my opinion, a krodha is one stage where you don't have any expectations from anyone. You can only be raged when when you are expecting something from someone. Despite saying this since childhood, we have been listening to our parents, our elders, our close ones to say don't expect. But our mind is such that it always expects. And the minute it expects, it lands up in a situation of choosing between what you want and what needs to be done. How about breaking down your barriers of expectation, accepting the life the way it comes, whatever time we have left on this earth? Let's make the most of it by making this world a better place to live in. Not just through Rotary, but through an individual grounds, by making our families more empowered towards engaging in selfless acts, helping people without cause, helping people without name, without fame, trying to adjust our money in a way which can help our generation and the upcoming generations coming ahead. And last but not the least, impacting at least one person's life by taking responsibility of them and mentoring them. And that is exactly what Vanaprastha Ashram is all about. When you don't have the energy, but you have the experience, it's the duty of elders to guide youngsters and guide the upcoming generations to be equipped in a way so that they can handle life walks that they have never seen before. What is valued is experience, and I'm sure you guys are aware of Mr. Narayan Murthy being called back to Infosys because of his own experience base, or maybe the Tatas calling on Ratan Tata again to guide them, and Chandrasekharan taking the lead at the later stage. So some people may feel that my approach towards life is more idealistic in nature. Well, it could be idealistic in nature, but there's no harm in trying it, and that's what is all about. The side from Modern Monk. The Modern Monk has a thought and responsibility of conveying older thoughts in a modern way. And that's why you might have heard a lot of corporate examples instead of Shiva, Vishnu, Mahesh, Shambhu, etc. examples coming from my side. Well, it's deep down an honor. Once again, thank you so much for all of you to be patient listeners. It's 35 minutes and 30 seconds. My time